Hey creeps, it's Alice, welcome back. I don't know what I'm going to be calling this series of mine, but if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I am just here for you. I'm here to scare you, to creep you out. I feel like we all could use a little escape. And I'm hoping that my voice and these stories can add another dimension to your unrest. Anyway, let's get into the story. Here's a hint. This is a Halloween story called Tap, Tap, Tap. It all happened many years ago in my town. The town was a little more than a small square with a church, a park, a prison, a school, with all the houses clustered around. The town was very proud of their school since it had been voted the best school in the province. It was the morning of October 31st, Halloween, and the class of students were doing arts and crafts in their classroom. How quaint. Some were cutting skeletons out of sheets of paper, some were painting vampire bats, and others were drawing pumpkins. The students were all between the ages of 8 and 9 years old. Their teacher was a beautiful young woman who had only been working at the school for 1 month. What could possibly go wrong? While the children were having fun preparing the Halloween decorations, the teacher turned on the radio to listen to the weather forecast. She was planning to organize an outdoor Halloween party for the kids later that day and wanted to make sure that it wouldn't rain. What a sweetie. Hopefully nothing bad happens to her. Suddenly, the weather forecast was interrupted by a news bulletin. This is an important announcement. A convicted murderer has escaped from the local prison and is on the loose. He is described as armed and very dangerous. Please do not attempt to apprehend him. The police will... The teacher rushed across the room and switched off the radio. She did not want to alarm the children. But it was too late. The children had all heard the broadcast and were very frightened by the news. They knew that the prison was very near the school. The teacher tried to reassure them and told them not to worry. Don't worry, kids. A convicted, crazed, murdering lunatic definitely isn't going to attack a school full of children. One little girl raised her hand and asked if she could go to the bathroom. The teacher didn't want to let her go, but the girl insisted. The teacher finally relented and gave her permission to go to the toilet. Don't let her go by herself. You're the teacher. It's your job. She told the girl that when she came back, she would have to give a secret knock at the classroom door. Then they would know that it was her and they could let her back in. The code was 3 taps and 2 scratches. That's not creepy at all. How about use your voice? You'd probably be able to tell the difference between a little girl and a crazed murderer. That's not weird. The girl left to go to the bathroom and the teacher locked the door behind her. To take the children's mind off of the scary situation, she started telling stories. After 20 minutes had passed, the girl still had not returned. The teacher began to get worried. Gee, you think? What's taking her so long? She wondered out loud. Suddenly, they could hear footsteps in the corridor. Everybody in the classroom froze. They heard a noise at the door. She's back, sighed the teacher in relief. She walked over, took out the key. What if it's not her? Asked the little boy who was shivering with fright. The teacher hesitated, her key inches from the lock. Again, they heard the noise at the door. It must be her, said the teacher. She put the key into the door and unlocked it. Suddenly, the classroom door burst open and a tall man was standing there. In his right hand, he was holding a knife, and in his left hand, he was holding the little girl's severed head. This is why you don't go to the bathroom by yourself. The escaped murderer came into the classroom smiling from ear to ear. The children were trapped inside. All that could be heard in the corridors of the school were screams of terror and squeals of pain. Who else is in pain? The little girl's dead. In the chaos, the teacher managed to break a window and jump out. She barely escaped with her life and crawled to safety. The children, however, were not so lucky. This teacher, man. Teacher of the Year award goes to this chick. When the police arrived, they found the murderer sitting in the middle of the classroom. The floor, walls, and ceiling were covered in blood. Little body parts lay scattered around him. He had chopped up every child in the class into tiny pieces. They found the headless body of the little girl in the third stall in the bathroom. The police figured out what probably happened that cold October day. Gee, you think? The escaped prisoner must have been hiding in the toilet when the little girl asked for permission to go to the bathroom. He must have surprised her in the hall and forced her to tell him the password. When she did, he cut off her head. Today, the teacher is in a psychiatric hospital. She never recovered from the incident and can't stop repeating over and over and over again. Tap, 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 scratch, scratch. Later, the school was abandoned. Parents refused to send their children there. There were too many bad memories. The school was left just the way it was when the murders occurred. They say that if you visit the old school building and go into the classroom, you can still see the blood dripping down the walls. If you're brave enough, you could even go into the bathroom. Just tap 3 times. Scratch 2 times on the door of the third stall. Then open it. You'll see the headless body of the little girl sitting on the toilet. And that, children, is why we do not go to the bathroom by ourselves unless you're in your own home. And especially not if there's a convicted serial child murderer who recently escaped from the prison that's next to your school. I hope you all learned a lot from this. I hope you sleep well. Leave comments below of what story you'd like me to touch on next. Sleep tight.